Hi there. Welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. Today we're going to be working on doing some English writing practice. We've just got done going through all the different ABCs, and so now we're on to a new subject, and we're going to work on questions and answers. We're not going to write the word question or answer today. I'm going to put them up on the video screen. The word question is Question. That spells question. And answer is Answer. So questions and answers are some of the most basic form of communication. It's something that we do all the time. Like, what's your name? Is it hot outside today? Is your dog friendly? We're constantly asking people questions. That's just a normal way to communicate. And then we're getting answers back from the outside world. People ask us questions and we answer them back. So that's what we're going to be working on for the next series of lessons with English for Emerson is questions and answers. And today we're going to work on the first question that we're going to do, which is the one that you hear all the time in probably every culture, is how are you? How are you? Or some people would say, how you doing? We're going to say, how are you? And that's what we're going to write right now. Okay? Get yourself some lined paper with lines going side to side, and here we go. So the first word, how, is going to be spelled H-O-W. That spells how. We're going to start our sentence, this question, with a capital. We always start every sentence when we write with a capital. So we start with the capital H for how. I'm going to start over here because I'm going to try to fit all this how are you in this one line here. And I'm going to fill up the space between three lines for my capital. I'm going to start at the top of three lines and go straight down to the bottom. So I went right through the middle line and went down to the bottom. Now, I put in another one next to it. And then I cross them right at the middle line. Can you find that middle line and go from left to right? And that makes an H, a capital H. Now that I got my first letter done for my question, all the rest of the letters in the question are going to be lowercase. All right? My next letter in how is a lowercase o. I go from left to right, counterclockwise, starting at the middle line, all the way around, H-O. And then I make my W. For the W, again, I'm going to start at the midline because everything's going to be lowercase from now on. I go down on the diagonal to the bottom. Then I'm going to go up. I stop my W before I get to the midline. Everybody's going to do theirs a little bit differently. Some people take their next part of the W all the way up to the midline. I don't. I stop it a little short. Back down to the lower line, and then up to the midline. You can make that peak in the middle of the W as high as you want. Stop. You can't go higher than the midline, but you can go up to the midline if that's how you like to do it. You choose. Okay, that spells how. All right, we got the first part done. That's good. Now, the next word in this is how are you? Now, you'd think if English was a logical language that it would just be spelled with an R. And sometimes if you're writing like a text message on the phone, when someone says how are you, they might just put an R there. But the correct way to spell the word R is actually A-R-E. Isn't that strange? How in the world does that spell R? Well, that's English. It's a strange language. We start with a lowercase a. Now, lowercase a starts off a lot like a lowercase c. We go right back up to the midline where we started, and then we put a little tail on it right there and stop at the bottom line. That's a lowercase a. Then the next letter is going to be a lowercase r. We start at the midline, straight down, and then we go up close to the midline, but not all the way up, and make a little hill, and we stop. That right there is a lowercase r. And then the word R ends with a silent E. We start midway between the middle line and the bottom and work our way around like that. There we go. How are you? Now, this is a strange thing. I say a lot about this silent E before I move on to the next word. The vowels in English are A, E, I, O, U, and Y. Whenever you have an E at the end of a word, and you have another vowel in that word before it, that E is going to be silent. That's just kind of, maybe there's a word out there that breaks that rule, but there aren't very many of them if they do. That E is going to be silent if there's another vowel before it in the word. So, it's not R-E, it's R. That E is silent. Now, last word in this is going to be you, okay? We worked on this recently when we did the letter Y. The word you starts with a Y. Again, when someone sends you a text message, they might use the letter U to say, how are you? Because it's kind of a way of cheating. But the correct way to spell you is with Y-O-U. Strange English. It doesn't make much sense. The Y starts with the diagonal going down to the bottom line from the midline, and then we go back up to the midline and we go down to the bottom and straight through it and keep going. We make it, the Y is going to go below the bottom line. That's going to be the only one of these letters that goes below the bottom line is that Y. Okay? Then we're going to make the O. We've already done one, now we're going to do another. Start at the midline and work our way around counterclockwise. And then the last letter in this is going to be a U. We start at the midline, down. Now, you can end that there, or you can put a little tail on it. I put a little tail on my U going from the midline down and stop at the bottom line. There we go. How are you? Now, very important. Whenever we make a question in writing, we end it not with a period, but with a question mark. And this is going to be our first chance to make a question mark. I didn't leave myself much space down here, so I'm going to have to squeeze it in. It's going to be tough, real tough. Now the question mark is a capital. It's going to use up the space between the top line and the bottom line, so it's going to be bigger. Here we go with the question mark. We start it right here, maybe approximately halfway between the top and the middle line, below the top line. We go up and touch the top, and then we come down to the middle, and then stop about halfway down between the middle line and the bottom line. How is your question mark looking? It's a strange thing that we have not done before. It's one you got to get used to. It's very important to learn how to do a good question mark. And then, once we get that done, we put a dot down here by the bottom line. That is a question mark. You gotta know how to make a question mark, because we always end every question that we write with a question mark, not a period. Okay, I hope your question mark ended up looking real good. Here we got the most basic question in all the world. How are you? Okay? How are you? Now we're going to make an answer, naturally.